Lori-Vallow is going to take a little trip, but it's not through the portal. SBF may take a trip to jail. A gruesome case gets reversed. Wait until you hear the reason why. And then our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment. Hit that little bell so that you receive notifications of when we go live or put up new content. And remember, you can download any of our podcasts on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Now, we have a new sponsor today, AG1. Now, yes, we have a video for this, but I tell you, I have been using this stuff since they sent me it, and I am a true believer. Drink it every morning. Here's the video. Support our sponsor. You're going to enjoy it. Giving a shout out to our sponsor for today, AG1. This is magnificent. With over 75 minerals, vitamins, and whole food sourced ingredients, AG1 is also gluten-free, dairy-free, paleo, vegan, keto, and has less than a single gram of naturally occurring sugar per serving.
What I like about AG1 is this is so simple to use. We take a quick scoop, we put it in here, we mix it up. AG1 tastes amazing.
If you've been looking to increase your daily intake of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, AG1 is the way to go. I personally have felt so much better after using it consistently. AG1 has made me feel more energized, which you know I need to remain impervious to those lengthy trials. AG1 supports an efficient metabolism. If you have issues with focusing, they've got you covered. Taking AG1 can improve and boost focus while reducing stress. Be sure to speak with your doctor before taking AG1 or any supplement if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. Head to my link in the description below to get a free 1-year supply of AG1 vitamin D3 plus K2 plus 5 AG1 travel packs with your first purchase of AG1. All right, let's go ahead and open the record and begin the docket for August 11th, 2023. Yes, that's right. Lori-Vallow is going to take a little trip, and it's not through a portal. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office has officially taken steps to extradite Lori-Vallow to Arizona. That's right. Lori-Vallow, who used to live in the Arizona Valley there, was sentenced obviously to 3 consecutive life sentences in Idaho last month for murdering her kids, Tylee and JJ, and conspiring to kill her husband's first wife, Tammy Daybell. Well, guess what? She's now facing 2 more conspiracy charges in Arizona for the death of her former husband, Charles Vallow, and shooting at another relative who survived. Now, the Maricopa County attorney said that they have finished the paperwork in her office and plan to send it to Governor Katie Hobbs next week so that they anticipate Lori-Vallow will be in Arizona by the end of the year. So the governor has to sign the governor's warrant and request that a warrant be issued. That will then be communicated to the governor in Idaho and the court system. And then Ms. Vallow can decide whether she wants to agree to the extradition or whether she's going to fight the extradition. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Now, since Lori-Vallow is in touch with everything and everybody, I'm sure she'll want to just go to Arizona as quickly as possible and get these matters resolved and let the truth come out. Now, as you may recall, Lori-Vallow's husband, Chad Daybell, well, he's still facing a separate murder trial in Idaho that isn't going to begin until April of next year, basically facing the exact same charges that Lori-Vallow faced and was convicted of there in Idaho. Now, Chad Daybell is not facing any charges in Arizona. We can't wait. Yes, SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried. By the time we are filming this video, guess what? He is set to appear in the Manhattan Federal Court, where the judge could decide whether he must report to jail while awaiting trial for allegedly bilking customers out of billions of dollars. Federal prosecutors are going to argue their position on why old Bankman-Fried should be placed in jail before the trial. The feds previously stated that the ex-kingpin had crossed a line and committed witness tampering by leaking the personal writings of his former lover and business associate, Caroline Ellison, to the New York Times. Now, the judge, Lewis Kaplan, who is presiding over the matter, could make a determination on whether to revoke Bankman-Fried's jail as soon as Friday afternoon. At the hearing in July, Judge Kaplan had issued a gag order that would remain in place until he could make a proper ruling. Now, Bankman-Fried's attorneys, well, guess what? They're saying they've been blindsided by the prosecutor's motion and argued that Mr. Bankman-Fried's bail terms permitted him to speak with the media. Sam Bankman-Fried has been held under house arrest at his parents' home in Palo Alto, California, since his release on a record $250 million bond. He's pled not guilty to various fraud charges related to his cryptocurrency empire that ultimately collapsed. I can tell you, $250 million unsecured bond, unheard of. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if this were you or me, and you weren't accused of stealing billions of dollars, maybe tens of thousands, maybe $1 million, your butt would be sitting in jail. I don't know why this guy is out of custody at all. He is the epitome of a danger to the community and a flight risk, and there's a risk that he will tamper with witnesses, which those allegations have already come up. We'll see what the judge does. I'm surprised this guy is even out right now. All right, a do-over. That's right, a conviction of a woman accused of murdering her roommate with a hammer and a knife has been overturned because the state Supreme Court ruled that, that's right, the judge allowing excessively gruesome autopsy pictures at the trial created the risk of a guilty verdict based upon inflamed emotions. Carmi Nelson was convicted back in 2019 for the 2017 murder of Jordan Brooke Lum in Charleston, South Carolina. She struck Lum in the head with the hammer and then stabbed her with a knife at least 19 times. She then allegedly tried to blame Lum's slaying on her husband, Daniel Nelson, who admitted to helping his wife clean up the crime scene. At trial, over Carmi Nelson's attorney's objection, the judge allowed prosecutors to show pictures of Lum's autopsy, which revealed the extent of Lum's more than 100 injuries in the, well, quite gruesome attack. Needless to say, Ms. Nelson was convicted of Lum's murder and sentenced to life in prison. That conviction was upheld on appeal, citing the admission of the autopsy photos. Carmi Nelson then took the case to the South Carolina Supreme Court. In that ruling issued just the other day, the South Carolina Supreme Court reversed the conviction, finding that the trial court judge should not have allowed Lum's autopsy photos to be admitted as evidence because of the prejudicial impact on the pictures outweighed any potential relevance they had to the case. Now, even while acknowledging that there was enough evidence without the autopsy photos to justify the guilty verdict, they should not have come in. The court said the admissions of these excessively gruesome autopsy photos unnecessarily created the potential for the jury to convict Carmi of the murder based on inflamed emotions in the case where the jury was provided with undisputed evidence of how the victim died, as well as ample evidence that she had been killed with malice, whether by Carmi or Daniels. The potential for a verdict based on emotion was amplified by the fact the jury was informed that Daniel had been charged in connection with this case, but only faced an accessory after the murder charge. The court also noted that the coroner, Dr. Batali's testimony as to the victim's injuries could have properly established how the victim died. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's an old term that says pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. The prosecutors in this case wanted to show malice so bad that they threw in, well, the kitchen sink of autopsy photos. But the court has to make sure that evidence that comes in, obviously it's relevant, certainly it's relevant, but is it so prejudicial that it outweighs any probative value? I can tell you, in a homicide trial, normally the judge will allow the prosecutors to have one or two autopsy photos, usually showing the injury, nothing up close, nothing too gruesome, for this very reason. Now, the flip side of that is, hey, judge, we have a heavy burden to carry. This is a homicide, and we need this evidence to show the malice. The judge has to do that balancing test. Well, didn't quite work out. And now guess what? So a trial that took place in 2019 for a murder that took place in 2017 is now going to be retried probably in 2023 or 2024. And guess what? They're not going to use the photos. I guarantee you that. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. A Florida man was arrested on fraud charges last month after allegedly registering a 1977 Porsche 911 Turbo that was stolen from the Sarasota Classic Car Museum. Now, the man allegedly used a vehicle identification number, a VIN, from another vintage 911 out of California that he got that information from a salvage yard so that he could register the car. So here's what happened. The police originally responded to the Sarasota Classic Car Museum after the burglary alarm was tripped during the early morning hours of June of this year. Inside the museum, 7 vehicles had actually been moved out of the way of the Porsche, which was missing. The robbery suspect was able to fill the car with fuel found on site and use the keys stored inside the driver's footwell to simply drive the car out of the collection. The 911 in question is an early 3.0 liter, which is highly sought after among collectors, while the latter 3.3 liter turbos are really the performance icons of the 930 family. Porsche built some 15,000 fewer cars with the smaller motor. The museum valued the car in the neighborhood of $250,000. Well, as the story continues, officers ultimately received an anonymous tip a few days later stating that a guy by the name of Daniel Boyce had been seen driving a brown Porsche around town. Police were able to determine that Boyce allegedly registered a brown Porsche 911 under a company called Triton Engineering, LLC, back in June of this year. The VIN associated with that registration belonged to a 1976 Porsche owned by a California salvage yard, which had been wrecked some 23 years ago. There was also a bill of sale, an odometer verification letter, and an approval letter from Triton Engineering used in the registration process, which were all fraudulent as well. Well, as you can imagine, the story turned. Mr. Boyce was arrested on July 21st for failing to appear in court for his charge of grand theft auto there in Sarasota County. Well, and the police also did a warrant issued for a phone at the time that allegedly led officers to photos of the stolen turbo inside a storage unit, along with the unit number and the code. The 911 was located, and needless to say, Mr. Boyce is the man they are looking for. Boyce was then hit with these felony charges for scheming to defraud in the value of over $50,000 and is a person of interest in this robbery. He's currently being held without bond at the Sarasota County Jail. Many more charges may be forthcoming, and Mr. Boyce is scheduled for an arraignment on September 22nd. Yes, that is dumb. You don't steal a car and then register it in the same jurisdiction. Everybody knows that. No, I'm just kidding. Don't steal people's cars, okay? Even if they're very rare, valuable cars. But most often when people do that, they ship them south of the border or to another state and then get the VINs. But somebody also was tipped off, probably somebody that didn't get paid for doing the robbery. Just a hunch. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. We're glad to be back. I actually do take it every morning. It's actually, it doesn't, I think so, yeah, a little bit. Getting all those veggies, I think, that I don't normally get.